Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Inner Healing Journey with Mandy May. So, this is a podcast created to inspire curiosity and to provide a space to explore our inner world, to question everything with openness, free from judgment, and in the pursuit of truth. So, together, we'll explore what it means to take responsibility for our own healing with that greater awareness. Because, my lovelies, self awareness is the key. So let's begin this journey together. Hello and welcome back to the Inner Healing Journey with Mandy May. So, in today's episode, we're exploring awakening because I know that we touched on this on the first episode. So, I just thought we could have a chat about that. Now, this is a word that's often associated with like peace and enlightenment, spiritual growth. But the reality of this is that awakening actually can feel very confusing, very challenging, and at times very chaotic. Now, for me, awakening wasn't about finding all the answers. It was about questioning what I thought, to be fair, I knew, becoming more aware of myself and beginning a deeper journey of healing and self discovery. So, even though I started with the inner healing journey, doing all the practices, in the spiritual community, doing the healing and stuff like that, it actually made me feel good at the time. So, like I said, it all has its purpose. But I started to realize later on in the years that I wasn't actually getting anywhere because I felt that I was just constantly healing. I was constantly doing the next thing, reading books or doing the next practice. And I just thought there's something not right here. When I was part of a group, the mentor there was like, for manifesting and stuff like that, you've got to feel things. And I just couldn't feel it. So I was just like, well, there's something wrong with me. Why can't I feel it? Because they say, don't they, in order to manifest, you have to feel it like it's already there. And I'm like, well, I fucking can't. So I don't understand it. And I really beat myself up for it for a long time. Until I started to realize that actually I wasn't healing. I was masking. Um, and probably I don't know what the right word is for it really, but I was just like almost ignoring my inner world. So I suppose then I go on to a deeper level of inner healing, which for me was starting with the awareness and then understanding what awakening meant to me. I can't speak for what awakening means to everybody else, but I can only do it for what it means to me. So I thought that we'll start by asking you this question. So you can reflect on this later. So, was there a particular event or experience that caused you to start questioning your life more deeply? I think that's quite a poignant question, to be honest. And I asked that question because for me, there was a lot of things that happened. I believe that we have many awakenings, like I said in the first episode. Um, so for me, awakenings, when I started to look at it in a deeper level, awakenings were happening for me when things were going wrong in my life or they just didn't sit right. I didn't resonate with stuff. What I call the tarot card moment in where things just collapse and you've got no idea what's going on. That to me, after looking back on it, that was the awakening. It wasn't this all happy, positive, 24/7 love and light. It just wasn't that at all. And I did question it at the time, but I just thought it was just me. But actually, no, it wasn't. And when you start to go within yourself and start to question, you start to realize that only you know yourself. So for me, awakening, it is a process. It really is. And I think we have many, as I've said. So, but it's a process of becoming more conscious of yourself. So because we run on subconscious programming and conditioning, um, the awakening part for me within the inner healing industry, I say industry, but the journey of that is very much about becoming more conscious, becoming more self-aware of yourself first, and then everything else seems to slip into place. So things like your patterns, your beliefs, and the deeper truth of who you are beneath all that conditioning and programming and versions of yourself that you've become, and then all the expectations, and also, guys, the ego identification. Obviously, I'm not going to touch on the ego yet, but people think ego is one thing, but it's actually not. So it's just like that's a totally different subject, and not one that I know. I'm not 100%. I suppose good at. I just know different things, so that's what I share. And I always thought that it was about becoming somebody new. And it's like, no, it really isn't. It's not. It's actually remembering who you have always been underneath everything that you've accumulated throughout your life, the versions of yourself that you've become because of others, because of society, because that's what you've been programmed to believe. And the programs and the conditioning is probably one of the hardest things to tackle because you have been programmed and conditioned right from the start. So have your parents, their parents, their parents, and so it goes on for generations. So breaking that cycle can be very, very challenging. So I just wanted to talk about really the beginning part of it and the discomfort that you may feel. Now, this little bit is not exhausted. You may have your own uncomfortable awakening moments and stuff. So just go with it, and just you can always add to the comments. So for me, it was definitely a feeling that something isn't right. So even though I was in this spiritual community, everything I thought was right, my beliefs, everything, you know, there was a niggling feeling because I wasn't getting anywhere, but I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere, and that I was in this healing loop, as I call it. I just thought something isn't right. So I questioned it, hence why I'm here now. Now, I definitely felt disconnected from life, but from people, from life, from my old versions of myself. And I believe that that's for a reason. You're disconnecting because you're not that version of yourself, or you're not aligned with that person, or you're not aligned with that job. You're not aligned within that relationship that you've been in for a long time. A lot of things change when you start to awaken. Now, for me, definitely questioning everything that you've believed as well. Now, that's a real kick in the teeth, guys, I'll be honest. Because you've believed, and I can only talk about the spiritual community because that's where I've been most of my life. So for me, I had to question all of that. So because I came into the knowledge and the understanding of what this world really was, and the matrix, as they call it, simulation or soul trap, I don't really know what it truly is. I just know there's something not quite right here, which I've said before. So questioning for me happened with many different things first. And then I had to really go deep and start questioning the spiritual side of things and my beliefs about around that. And I had to ask myself, do I truly believe that? Or is that something that someone else has said and I've took that on board as my belief? And I can honestly say a lot of it is that I've took it on, actually, without questioning it. So my advice is always to question everything. And if you resonate with it, then that's good. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you feel inside that something's off, or you don't quite get it, you don't understand it, or even down the line when you do it, question it, and question your belief around it, and just be observant. So don't be subjective when you're using your emotions, because that can really make things chaotic. But to just look at it for what it is and really truly ask yourself, could this be a possibility, or do I really believe this? You know, you've got to ask yourself different questions all the time. And it's not about blaming or shutting down other people's beliefs. It really isn't. Um, Obviously, it can get very frustrating at times when you don't have the same beliefs with others, but you can feel like you're at loggerheads a lot of the time. But you have got to just let it go. And the other thing really for me was releasing old ways of living that no longer fitted for me. So, back in my early years, I would go out, I'd drink, I would do what everybody else does, but there was still something within me that was different. I was different. And I always knew that. I just didn't embrace it. And when I came into my healing journey, which was 2014, um, I realised that I've just been on autopilot almost. That I've just been doing everything that everybody else has been asking me to do or expected of me. Um, so when I moved away, I came to a place where it was very much more quiet, more peaceful, and I was able to start my healing journey then. So yes, unfortunately, it has brought about releasing friendships and stuff like that. Not because I've done that on purpose. It's just naturally happened because you know, we're not on the same wavelength anymore, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that people go their own way, they have their own lives, and do you know what, guys? That's absolutely fine. There doesn't need to be any animosity about it. It's not that you can't ever see them again or do anything with them again. You just realise that that's not the version of yourself anymore. You're not that version. So therefore, you're not going to fit in. So let's come to the triggers. These are common. And this is when I said to you around having many awakenings. These are the triggers that almost give you the opportunity, should I say, to awaken. Some people don't. Some people go through it and then just, go back to their old patterns, their own behaviours, and not actually becoming aware of themselves and their patterns. So it is down to us individually to take responsibility for all that. It is definitely still my belief that I think you either are going to awaken here and take action and see everything for what it is, or you don't. um, and you are on your own journey here. So, whether my belief is that we coerced almost to come here. So, you're told about a life purpose and told about that cold soul contract and stuff, but actually it's all about the matrix. So let's get into these triggers. So we've got bereavement here. That is a huge one because bereavement actually probably sets you off on the spiritual pathway in that you contact mediums and psychics and stuff like that because you want to know that your loved ones are okay. And although I know that they are, they're still in the matrix. So um I've come to understand that over the years, but that's a different conversation to have. Illness, health in illness. That can really put you onto a pathway of self discovery. Sometimes you'll do conventional and go all the way with that. And then other times you'll be wanting to do a lot more research into holistic stuff, which is what I did. So both can go hand in hand, guys. It's not just one or the other. It can go hand in hand. But I think the understanding is that your body can heal itself if you nourish it correctly. And it's not just your physical, it's your emotional and mental. So again, another conversation, but it all links in. Oh, this is a big one, guys. Relationship breakdown. This is huge because you feel like your whole world's crumbled when a relationship breaks down, right? Your whole world just crumbles. So it's really painful, but it's a grief process as well. Same as bereavement, it's all grief. Burnout is another one. Anxiety and depression. That's usually a big sign that you're at a fork in the road. Major life changes. We don't like changes, but we have to make them. A sudden inner knowing that there must be more to life than this. Definitely, I've had that all the time. I have to stress, and I did think this at the beginning of my journey. Awakening is not love and light, guys. Okay. I used to think this. It isn't. It's bloody messy. It's lonely, and I tell you what, it's so confusing because you question everything. You think you're going bloody mad. And old identities begin to fall away because the way I see it, you're not meant to have an identity anyway. An identity is attached to a human life, so you don't need them. Friendships and relationships will change. They not may change, they will change. And you will question everything. You'll start to question absolutely everything, and that's good. But, many people do expect awakening to be blissful, this big, beautiful thing. But often it begins with dismantling what is no longer authentic. That's the key. So, you know, the experiences I suppose during this awakening is, and again, this is not exhausted. It's like increased self-awareness. It can seem pretty scary at times. You find that your intuition is a lot greater, so you tend to notice it more. This is a big one, and especially was for me, that you're feeling more sensitive to people's energies and environments, so you pick up on that more and more. You will want more time alone. You will question society, and the expectations of that. You will want authentic stuff or authenticity all the way. You will be feeling to call, to deal and heal with old wounds. You may look deeper into the meaning of life, which is definitely where I've been, and becoming aware of unconscious patterns and behaviours, which is a huge one. So, what it's asking of you guys, I guess it's like an opportunity in my eyes. So it's actually to become more honest with yourself. You've got to become honest with yourself. Don't bullshit yourself anymore. You've got to take responsibility for your own healing. You can't rely on others to do it for you. They don't heal you. You do. You've got to question your own beliefs. Make sure they are your beliefs and not beliefs you've taken on. Reconnect to your inner wisdom and live more consciously, which is very difficult when you're coming from a subconscious place. That's how we're driven through subconscious levels. So it is to live more consciously. So I have dabbled in subconscious stuff, but I've not been consistent with it. But it's something I'll go back to. So don't get me wrong, awakening is going to look very different for everybody, but you might pick up on the things that I've said that will resonate with you. They're more common, but it does look different for everybody. There is no checklist, guys. I'm just giving you experiences that I've had and things that I've resonated with. And there's no finish line. Let me tell you, there is no finish line because you are in this frequency, this vibration, this world, whatever you want to call it, and you're in this human body. So this ain't going to stop. You've just got to deal with it, and you've got to find ways of dealing with it. Um, there is no point where you become fully awakened in my eyes. You just can't. And it is ongoing unfolding of awareness. So it's just a constant, I say battle because sometimes it can feel like that, but it's about becoming more conscious throughout your life. So integrating into everyday life, even though you've got chaotic stuff going on, it's about dealing with that and nurturing that and learning to integrate it all. So if you are going through what feels like an awakening right now, know that the confusion, the uncertainty, the grief, the questioning are often just as much part of the journey as the peace and the clarity and the joy that we're wanting. The awakening isn't about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering who you've always been beneath the layers of all that conditioning, the programming, the fear, and the expectations. You must start to trust your own experience, trust your own inner wisdom, and allow the journey to unfold at its own time. You don't need to push or shove, or try and get through. Um, you've just got to let things be. It's almost like one day after the next. It's 1 minute after the next. It's just allowing. So I invite you to sit with what we've explored today and notice what resonates for you. Just remember your journey is your own and there is no right or wrong way. Um, and there's definitely no right and wrong way to experience it either, guys. So but I will invite you to journal and reflect on this question this week. What has been the biggest awakening moment in your life so far? So until next time, be curious, be compassionate with yourself, and trust your own inner wisdom. Thank you for listening. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone that might benefit from this. Until next time, remember the answers are not outside of you. So stay curious, stay aware, and remember the answers are not outside of you. They never were. Have a magical day.